video, we're going to take all the little components that we learned about in the last video, and we're going to put them together, and we're going to create an app with a bunch of randomizers for us. We'll include a page that generates a random number based on what is in the route. We'll re-add the shuffle, the word shuffle that we did last time, and we will create a coin toss, and our final page will be a list of restaurants that you can choose from in a HTML form, and then the server will help you figure out once and for all where you're going to eat. Alright, so let's get started. First, we create a new folder. Let's call it Random App. Then we open the folder in VS Studio Code, Random App, and this will open. Then we're going to create app.py, and then we're going to do the Flask commands that allow us to use Flask. So we're going to from lowercase Flask, import uppercase Flask. We also know we're going to use several of the different parts of Flask, so we're going to use render template, we're going to use request, and then we're going to do app equals capital Flask parentheses underscore 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 name underscore underscore. We'll create a route for at home for our index, which we'll call our function index, and we'll return a render template called index.html. We also need to actually install and set up our virtual environment and terminal. All right, so we're going to do Python 3, and remember this changes based off if you're using Mac or Windows, but venv for virtual environment called virtual environment venv, and we get our folder. And yes, we do want to use it, so we'll click yes. And remember, if you need to go through the documentation, which I highly recommend, this will help get you out of a pinch. And if you're using Windows or Linux or Python 2, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. We're going to pip install Flask. See, Jinja, that is what we were using before. And then when we try to run it through the run and debug, we will probably get an error, or really it just won't run as a server. So what I do is I just install Flask again. You can see a lot more stuff is coming up this time. At this point, we can run this, run it as a Flask. And we don't have an index.html yet, so we need to create that. And remember, when we render a template, it has to be under the templates folder, which we have to create. And then we can do index.html. But I am going to go ahead and do layout.html at the same time, and I'm going to fill out my layout. So that's going to be doctype HTML, so we know it's an HTML5 document, and then HTML language. This version is English. And then we're going to do our header and our title. We'll do randomizer app for our title. And then we'll go ahead and include a style. And in here, we're going to start using that Jinja format, which is curly bracket and a %sign on either side of the curly bracket, the inside of the internal of the curly bracket, and then we're going to do block and what it is, so style. When things change colors, I like to change the names because it's usually a dedicated name, so I'm just going to say styling in this case. In block, which is always one word, and I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to do the body, and I'm going to go ahead and paste this, and we're going to do block body. So that's our layout.html. I will save that, and then we're going to go to index. Here, I know that I'm using layout, so I have to do parentheses, or I have to do curly bracket, percentage sign, extends layout.html, and then I can have both of those sections. So I could have block styling if I want it. And in block, and then I'm going to just copy this again, and block body. All right, we saved that. We'll put something in here just to test. This is a test for now. Save it, restart the server, go to our server, and actually type in the URL and go to it. This is a test for now. So we know that everything looks like it is working at the moment. That's perfect. All right, let's go back to app.py, and we have everything initialized and set up so we can start developing our pages. So the first page, let's go ahead and do the number, like the random number generator. So we're going to create a path for that. We're going to app.route. We can do random number. It could be pretty much anything you want that's related to what your page is going to do. We're going to create a function, and it's going to have a unique name. So random number works for me. And again, render template, random number.html. So if you're wondering why this is like this, it's because it's wondering what's going on here, and that's okay. Just ignore that. All right, so we are going to create a random number.html. And again, we're going to extends layout.html. And we will just copy and paste all of this. The random number is number. And what we're going to do here is, because we want it to be able to be put a number into the URL, we're actually going to change this to the format that we use to say that it's going to be a variable. So first we're going to say what kind of variable. It's going to be a number or whole number, so integer, int. And then we'll just call it number. And then in order to use this number inside of this function, we're going to say number in our parentheses here. And to send it to the page, we're going to do, just say result equals number for now. And this means that this number that's here on the page, on the HTML page, it'll call itself result. So if we actually go to here and say result, save that, save this, reload this, and we can do / any number. So 80, your random number is 80. So we haven't actually randomized it yet, but we have sent in data. So it's one more step to add the randomization. So we can type in import random, because we're going to use the random library of tools. And then here we're going to say randomized equals, and we're going to use the random library, the random dot. We're going to use what's called randint, or random integer, and it's inclusive, so it's going to include both of these numbers. So our lowest number that we want, we'll say 0 is fine, and then our highest number is going to be this number here that they typed in. So we're going to use number, which is the name here, and then instead of a number, we're going to pipe in randomized. We'll save that, reload that, and then we'll type in 800. And now you see we have a random number right there. We can make this bigger, so we can go here, we can make this like an H1. Random number, and if we refresh it, we get a different number each time. And then if I really want to be fancy with it, I can decide to take randomized and format it with commas. So in order to do that, what we will use is we'll just do results equals curly brackets, comma, close curly bracket, dot format, and what we're formatting is called randomized. We'll run that, and we'll say result equal to result. It's the name of our new variable. And now when I go here, I'm going to type in a really large number, and we have commas. Refresh, I can get all sorts of numbers. Cool. And so I think we'll call that one done. So how do we get to it? We want to change index.html to be able to access that page. So let's make an unordered list, which is UL, and then li, and we can say go generate a random number to and then we just do slash whatever number, so 10 10, and we'll add a comma, make sure it's in the right spot. We can do several of these if we want to. So we'll do 100, 1,000, a million. That's 1,000, million, a billion, and we'll type this in over here just to make sure that we are using all the right zeros. That's a million. A billion and a trillion. Save that, run that. Let's go check out our new index page. Cool. And I have an extra comma and an extra bracket right there. Something that'll take a second to reestablished your server. But now I can just go here, and we'll see that that is our number. And we'll do the same thing as we add more. So the next one we'll do is a coin toss. Which we don't have a page for yet. Alright, so let's go make the coin toss page, and it's going to be very similar. app.route/coin toss, define coin toss, and what are we going to do? We're going to get a number, just like we did our random number up there. It's random.randint, but this time it's going to be from 0, which is one option, and 1, which is the other option. So we're going to do return render template, called coin toss.html, and we're going to return side as side. So let's make our coin toss.html file. And I'm just going to copy this again. And this time we're going to use an conditional. We're going to do an if statement. So that's if side equals, remember there's 2 equal signs there. If side equals 0, we're just going to print you've received heads. And then the other option, the only other option, is 1. So you've received tails. In most programming languages, you have a way to tell when it's the end of a line or a block. In this language, however, because HTML, I can do whatever kind of spacing I would like. The spacing isn't how it knows to reach the end of a line. In HTML, it's the slash section. In Python, it's the way we're doing spacing. So in this, what we do, just like we did end block, we're going to do end if. All right, so now we should be able to use this page. We'll refresh this page. Go to coin toss. Well, let's see what's going on there in a second, but coin toss. You've received heads, tails, heads. It looks like it's working. Let's see what's going on in our index. Oh, I got an extra quotation there. There we go. We'll make this one nice and large as well. There we go. Cool. So now we can add our shuffling words. So if we remember, this works like this. We add app.route slash getWord. Define getWord function. Remember, we returned a render template of getWord.html. And then we also have app.route slash showWord. And so we'll create these pages. getWord.html and showWord.html. And just like here, we'll copy all of this just to save us some time. Alright, so now in block body for getWord, we're going to have our form elements. So form, and we have two, remember, of type. One is a text box. The other is a submit button. And so we can run this and just make sure we've typed everything in correctly, everything's running. And remember, our form won't do anything yet. showWord. showWord. I misspelled. And that's why we check every so often, more often than you would think is actually really helpful, because you've only done this much and we can see specifically that that was the showWord issue. So we run that again, refresh this page, let the server reload, and then it's blank, which it is blank on our HTML, so we know it's working. So getWord, what are we going to do? We're going to have an action of go to showWord. We're also going to use the post method. Remember, this is when the form sends information, it posts it, and it does not show it in the URL bar. We also have to give the information that it's going to post a name. So name equals, call it random word, and we can also give this a placeholder. So the inside of the text box will have words in it so that we know what to do. So type in a word. Let's check all of this. And that's all looking good. Now, what we haven't done is set it up to receive showWord on post. So we see method not allowed. So now we need to set that up over on app.py. And remember, that's comma methods, because there are multiple methods we could use, equals, and we create a list. And in this case, we're only going to use post. Now, when we run it, and we try again, it goes to the page just like we want it to. Now, at this point, we want to retrieve that information in the form, and specifically within the random word box. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that in a variable, and we'll call that word. We'll call that word results. No, we'll call that word, and we'll call that word entered equals. And so we're going to do the request method. And remember, when we use the post method, we're going to use the form option, and then we're going to do dot get, because we are retrieving, like we are going to get that information, not that it has to do with the post or get. It's just that what we're doing as a human being, we're grabbing it, we're getting it. So get, and what are we getting? Random word, if I put that in there correctly. So random word without that. And just to see that we are doing this correctly so far, we're going to print to our terminal. So we'll save this, refresh, go back, refresh this, and we'll say book, and then book should show up down here. All right, so now we're ready to take that word and we're going to shuffle it. And so what we're going to do is take each character, move it into its own list, and then shuffle that list and put it back, join it back into a single string. So what we're going to do is we're going to create that list first. We're going to do character list equals list of word entered. And then with that character list, we're going to use the random.shuffle method. And what are we shuffling? We're shuffling character list. At which point, we need to save this as a string rather than a list. And to do that, we use the join command. So new word equals like this, and what are we joining together? We're joining the character list. And now let's print that out and see if that's doing what we want it to do. Everything looks good so far. Go back, refresh, computer. Okay, we are having an error. So let's see what the error is. It's my misspelling of character list right there. All right, so we haven't done anything with it, but we haven't gotten an error, and we have a shuffled word. Great. So let's return that and show it. Comma, and we're going to say that is our result. And so in our showword.html, that is what we're going to refer to this string by. And what does it refer to here? Well, here right now it's called new word. So result is equal to new word. New word is what we call it here, and result is what we call it in the showword.html, or what's going to be rendered here. So we're going to do your, and let's do it under an H1. Your new word is, remember, 2 curly brackets on either side, and result. Save this, reload, and go back, and we'll start this all from scratch. Let's say programming, submit. Your new word is whatever that would be. We can do it again. Armgeo-permanent. Yeah, but it's working. So there we go. That is our shuffle. So let's go back to index and make sure it's added there. A list item, href equals, and that is get word. Shuffle a word. Save that, reload, and then go back to our index. Shuffle the word, and then we'll do microphone. And there we go. Now we'll do something very similar to shuffle the word to make our list for our restaurants. So let's go back to app.py. We need a page with selections. And we'll call it choices. And we'll call it choices. I'm going to make a page for that. So that's going to be just restaurant options.html. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll make a selected page, a function called select place, selected place.html. Okay, so restaurant options and selected place.html. We'll go ahead and create those. And once again, I'm just going to copy and paste. And just like what we did with the get word, we're going to create a form for here as well. But we're going to use checkboxes this time. So we're going to do input type equals checkbox. And we still need a button. So input type equals submit. And our action is that we're going to go to selected place. And we're going to post this, or post this through post, just like we did in get word. Our checkbox needs to have a value, and that's going to be the value that shows that's listed. So in this case, maybe we do Wendy's. And after the checkbox, we'll want to write it as well and give it a break so that we can go to the next line. Okay, so let's just, and we also need to give this before we restart the server. Let's go ahead and give this a name as well. So we're going to give it name equals restaurants. So we will restart the server, and we're going to go to /selections. We'll see we have Wendy's, which we can choose or not choose. I'm going to go ahead and fill out several more options here. Okay, so I've filled out a list of places, so let's restart and let's take a look and make sure all of that is running correctly. So we have a list of places that we can click on, that we can choose from, and we can click submit. So the requested URL was not found. So selected place, make sure that that is, nope, it's just selected. Maybe we choose, we want to go to maybe Wendy's and Zaxby's and Captain D's and Moe's. And so we click submit. So method not allowed, which is not a bad sign. It just means that we have not set that up yet. So we go to selected. And what methods are we going to use? We're going to use methods of, and make a list, post. Now when we restart, again, there's nothing on the page, but we're not getting an error. Right, so what we're going to do is request a list of our places, and then we're going to choose from that list a random spot, in which after that we will be sending that in just like we sent in the work. Okay, so the first thing to do is to request that list and save it as something. So we'll call it places equals request dot form, because remember we're using post, form dot get, but instead of just get, we're going to get a whole list. So get list, and of what value or what part of the form are we looking to make that list out of? That's called the restaurant. Maybe an S. Let's double check. Yep, with an S. So just to check that out, print places. And it's never a bad idea to do prints while you're going, just to see if everything's working. We'll go to what was it again? It was selections. All right, so let's do Captain D's, Jiminix, and PF Chang's. No error here, and we have our list here. That is fantastic news, because now we're cooking. Because now we can use random, well, we have to save it as a variable, our results. So we'll say results equals, we're going to use a random, so we're using the random library, and within there we're going to use the method of choice. It's going to make a choice out of a list. And out of what list? That list is called places. And let's just print that again. Right, no error, and it shows modes. And so now all we have to do is show it on our page. And remember to do that in this render template. We say the name of what it's going to be called in the new page. We're going to just call it result, and currently it is called result. So we're going to do result. I'm going to save that, and then we're going to go to selected place, and we're going to do H1. Your result was result. Enjoy. Alright, so refresh the whole server. Now we'll just run it again. Selections, Provinos, Willys, and Jiminix. Your result was Provinos. Enjoy. And then we just need to add that back to the index. Another item. Where to eat. /A, save it, reload, let the server finish. Let's go to our index. Where to eat. So we're gonna choose between Wendy's, Zaxby's, Moe's, and Arby's. Submit. Your result was Wendy's. Enjoy. Alright, so there we have it. We have created a page that will create a random number based on the number in the URL bar using the get method. We created a coin toss. You received tails. We have a word shuffler. So let's say we can even do 2 with a space because it'll shuffle the space as well. It's a 3D printer. We have where to eat. And we can choose between several places. Submit. And we have a result. So I hope that this demonstration has kind of shown what Flask is capable of. You can take this much further. There's still a lot to explore in Flask and a lot of ways that you can expand upon this, even with just what we learned today. What are some of the next steps? Well, we might think about debugging. So what if we go to shuffle a word and we just left it blank? Maybe we wanted to get an error message that just says, please put in a word, something like that. You can try creating your own apps with this kind of logic. We can learn about sessions, which the sessions are a way to have people go to the same server and things will look different based on who you are and how you're logged in. So think about like Facebook. It's not just one Facebook. Everybody's Facebook is different, and we can use sessions to do that. You might want to learn some databasing, such as SQL, in order to save all the data. So maybe you want to just save all the words that were input. Or maybe you need to learn how to upload your web app to a web server in order to let other people use it as well. Because right now, remember, it's just hosted locally, so only you can use it. How about further resources? Well, first, I would definitely start by reading the Flask documentation. There is quite a bit here that really go into detail about everything that Flask is capable of and how to do it. There's also lynda.com. So if you go to our website, you can go to gwinnetpl.org, go to find it right here, do view all digital resources, and alphabetically under L, way down here, you can see how many resources we have. Lynda.com, you open that up, click here to access, and you're going to put in your card number and your PIN number. Once you're logged in, you'll get this page, and you can type in Flask or Python. There's a lot of Python as well. There's a whole topic, and I would recommend taking this Flask Essential training. One other resource that I highly recommend is called CS50. It is a Harvard computer science class that you can take for free. So we have our enrolling here, and they also have a YouTube channel. So if you go to CS50, this is CS50, and you'll see a lot of videos on computer science, on Python, on SQL, on anything related to computer science. Really fantastic resource for you. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your future programming. I know if you build up your program and take it one step at a time, you'll have some amazing applications and web pages before you know it.